Greetings, friends. The worst diesel engines that can still be found on used cars. Modern diesel engines themselves are more reliable than gasoline engines for various reasons. But among them there are many options, taking which with mileage you can greatly regret it. It is about such units that will be discussed in this top. And so, we will be the first to consider diesel engines with the DCI marking the Renault group in view of its strong prevalence. The main problem is the cranking of the liners. This usually happens on a run of about 150,000 kilometers due to a drop in the performance of the oil pump. In most cases, a simple reduction in the oil change interval helps, and of course the oil must be of high quality. The trouble is that the recommended interval was as much as 30,000 kilometers, which had an extremely negative impact on the durability and reputation of this motor. Repair costs can be higher than purchasing a used engine, although the latter is also quite risky. The Delphi Common Rail power system is also extremely unsuccessful here, in which, due to low-quality fuel, the high-pressure fuel pump quickly fails and pulls the nozzles along with it. Common Rail from Siemens does not have a similar problem, but this does not mean that diesel fuel can be drained from the nearest tractor. By the way, liners can also finish off the turbine with wear particles that have fallen into the oil. Such a power unit can be purchased if you are sure that it was serviced 3 times more often than it should be. The most unreliable of the DCI series is the 2.2-liter engine. Here, a not very reliable gas distribution system is used, as well as frequent problems with the turbocharger, EGR system, injectors, and engine electrics. This is a common family of engines with a volume of 1.6 to 2 liters and a power of up to 218 horsepower, has been produced since 2007 and is installed on all but the largest BMW cars, as well as on many cars. There are some very annoying features here that often bother owners and make them spend a lot of money on repairs. The timing chain usually runs up to 100,000 kilometers, sometimes it does not take care of 60. As soon as noise appears, it cannot be ignored, otherwise a break will occur, after which the motor can be immediately sent to a landfill. But the replacement here is very expensive, since you need to remove the entire engine. In engines until 2009, the chain is changed along with the crankshaft. The chains were replaced under warranty, but this does not help for a long time. Extraneous sounds can also be caused by a crankshaft damper, which lasts a little more than 100,000 kilometers, then you have to change it. There are also problems with swirl flaps, which can be completely covered with soot from the robots of the USR system. But that's not all, because there are piezoelectric nozzles here, which on the most powerful versions of the motor easily fail and have a limited resource. And their cost is shocking to many. Next on the list are diesels from Toyota AD series. The reputation for being very reliable engines has not lived up to the 2 and 2.2-liter turbo diesels. They have a number of very unpleasant and expensive to eliminate shortcomings. The most famous problem of such diesel engines is the regular breakdown of the cylinder head gasket. The reason for this lies in the too high load on the engine, which leads to deformation of the cylinder head. As a result, the replacement of the gasket is not enough, which gives, since warping appears in the places of fit. On Toyota's recommendation, the engine block needs to be replaced, but an alternative solution is usually used, and this is grinding. In second place in terms of the number of complaints is progressive oil consumption. However, the Masloser itself should not cause concern until it reaches gigantic volumes. For example, 2L1000 kilometers. A number of revocable companies were even carried out to replace pistons, but the oil jar did not go away. There are also typical diesel problems with the diesel particulate filter and the EGR valve, but they only happen much earlier than on most engines running on heavy fuel. This unit did not bypass the malfunction of the fuel injection system, turbine, and dual-mass flywheel. All in all, a very bad unit. In any such list, it is simply impossible to do without a VAG group. This time it's the 2.0 TDI. The 2.0 TDI PD engine has pretty much spoiled the brand's reputation. In addition, he replaced the 1.9 TDI, which was legendary for reliability and unpretentiousness. It was a very bad change. The list of defects is quite large. This is the cracking of the cylinder head, and the failure of the oil pump and pump injectors. Even in the timing drive there was premature wear of the gears on the drive shaft. The expensive dual-mass flywheel failed. Fortunately, the problems came to an end in 2007 with the introduction of the 2.0 TDI version with common rail injection. Since then, VW's 2.0-liter diesel has more of a claim to being one of the most reliable, though it still retains a few of its predecessor's weaknesses. In total, an unsuccessful version was installed on many VAG group models from 2003 to 2007. By themselves, these are hardy, old, and proven motors. They have been installed on Mitsubishi cars since the 80s to the present. Big problems began only after the advent of turbines. Initially, naturally aspirated units grew too much in power, and at the same time a whole bunch of malfunctions appeared, largely related to overloading the structure. Here, there are cracks in the cylinder head, and breakdowns of the rocker shafts with jamming. There were some breakdowns of the camshaft and brakes in the timing belt. Overheating also occurs, and even cracks in the cylinder block. Added to the mechanical failures are numerous but less serious problems with the DD power system. But in regions with a very cold climate, there are frequent cases of serious engine breakdowns with very low mileage by diesel standards, less than 100 TkM, after which the engine is easier to replace than to repair. All this is explained by the fact that the engines in the 80s had a power of 70 to 74 horsepower, and the latest options with variable geometry turbines already give out 178 forces. 3.0 DI Nissan. This legendary engine can be found on large and seemingly very reliable machines. But unfortunately 3.0 DI is not like that. At the beginning of production, it had a serious design flaw. The third and fourth cylinders did not receive enough lubrication, which led to the jamming. Also, the head gasket burned out. A liquid-cooled turbine is very sensitive to overheating. A lot of problems are caused by fuel equipment, both injectors and high-pressure fuel pumps. Well, after 250 to 300,000 kilometers, in this engine, if not everything, then a lot begins to crumble on it. If the owner did not follow him, did not serve him properly, overheated and did not preventively change parts and assemblies, whose resource has expired. Caravan. Another failed diesel on our list is Isuzu's 3.0 D-Max, which was used by Renault, Opel, and Saab. Depending on the brand, the unit received different designations. For Opel it is 3.0 CDTI-, 3.0 TID Saab, and 3.0 DCI Renault. After 150 to 200,000 km, due to overheating and subsequent deformation of the block, the liners and the cylinders began to fall. This led to fluid leakage from the cooling system, even more overheating and engine seizure. The manufacturer, not finding ways to repair the engine, recommended replacing it in such a case. However, companies using Isuzu technology still found a solution to the problem. So, Saab simply switched to Fiat 1.9 JTD engines, while Opel upgraded the engine. The updated power unit began to develop 184 horsepower and received the designation Z30DT. The French followed in the footsteps of the Germans. Renault received a 185 horsepower P9X715 at the output. Problem period: 2000 to 2006 application: Opel, Vectra, Signum Saab, 9 to 5 Renault, Velsatis, E-Space. The next engine again from Volkswagen is the 2.5 TDI V6 from 1997 to 2004. This power unit caused problems even when he was young, to say nothing of the current realities. Most of the complaints are related to the rapid wear of the camshaft cams. Many problems are caused by frequent failures of the Bosch VP44 electronically controlled injection pump. This motor is also extremely prone to oil leaks at the joints and from under the valve cover. On a run of more than 150,000 kilometers, the mechanism for changing the geometry of the turbine can wedge. Weaknesses also include the viscous coupling bearing and pressure-reducing valves. The manufacturer eventually coped with serious design flaws. In 2001, the problem with the high-pressure fuel pump was solved, and in 2004, with the camshafts. The production of these engines was completed in 2008. Another 2.5 TDI is only already with an inline arrangement of cylinders, and it has 5 of them. It is also not very successful. It was produced from 2003 to 2009. The cylinder walls have a delicate coating that crumbles over time, and the engine loses compression. And the extraordinary fuel supply system for injectors through channels in the cylinder head has a tendency to leak diesel fuel into oil. Plus, a specific pump is prone to skipping antifreeze into engine oil. If such a heat has already gone with Megane, then consider another of their diesel engines. 5-liter V10 TDI, which was produced from 2002 to 2009. He was born into the world by connecting two 2.5 TDs. To say that it is expensive to maintain is like saying nothing. He even has 2 engine control units. The life of the motor may stop after the coolant enters the cylinders through the pumps of the cooling system. Due to poor thermal balance, overheating of the rear cylinders is often encountered, sometimes ending in cracks in both heads. As in the 2.5 TD, the cylinder walls can crumble. On top of all that, just a huge amount of torque very quickly finishes the 6-speed automatic transmission. So cars with such an engine should be feared. The engine from the Fiat 1.3 Multijet of the first generation is also problematic in the period production, from 2003 to 2009. At high mileage, engines are prone to increased oil consumption and a drop in compression. This is most evident on large and heavy models. Most of all, a long drain interval for long-life class oil is ruining. Opel specified a completely crazy 50,000 kilometers for this, while Fiat limited itself to only 30,000 kilometers, but this is too much for a miniature diesel with a 3-liter supply of lubricant. In addition, under heavy loads, oil consumption for waste increases. In addition, 1.3 multi-jet engines had problems with the timing chain drive and even a broken chain, which always ended in fatal damage. In some versions, there were curious malfunctions, such as the destruction of the turbocharger blades and the freezing of the crankcase ventilation channel. Well, it will be very interesting to know if you agree with this list, and that's all for me. Thank you all for your attention. I will be very grateful if you subscribe to the channel. See you soon.